Am I the idiot for ruining my kid's life after she ruined a dress? My ex, 31, and I, 32, male, had C, 16, female, way too young. We're friendly co-parents. One big rule we share is if our daughter breaks something, she pays for it. Now my sister, 27, and I are the only grandkids. And never married. Instead, she worked with GMA and GPA at their Seams Dry store, and took it over when they retired. Sis's girlfriend, 29, proposed last year. GPA offered to make Fail a custom suit, which she was over the moon about. GMA had me ask Sis what her dream dress was and record the convo. Sis, thinking it was just between us, told me in great detail what her dream dress was, though said it was way too expensive, so she would get something much cheaper. Well, a few months later GMA surprised Sis with her dream wedding dress. It fit perfectly and everyone cried. Sadly, GMA recently passed away, which hit us all hard. Sis was devastated, but decided that the dress meant GMA would still be there with us at the wedding. The issue comes in with C. She's very large, much larger than Sis. 3 days ago, we decided to go visit Sis and see how she was doing. It was great, but then C asked if she could try on the dress. Sis politely said no. C made a face, but dropped it. Later, we decided to go grab dinner. Sis and I went to pick up our orders, but C decided to stay and play with Sis's dog. We got back, and the dress was destroyed. C had apparently tried to get it on, popping some seams, and got stuck. Instead of waiting for help, she cut her way out. The dress was hacked to bits. Sis was devastated and asked us to leave. I grounded C, and called Aunt with some pictures, asking if it could be saved. She said there was no. She said she'd make a new one, but it wasn't the same. Then she dropped the bomb on me. GMA had hand-sewed most of the dress, used super expensive fabric, and put almost 500 hours in making that dress, since it was the only family wedding we'd have. In total, the dress cost $12,000, give or take. C has about $15,000 saved from various jobs, as well as winning writing competitions. This was supposed to help her in college. I took her to the bank and set in motion transferring all the funds, since as her parent I still have control over it. $12,000 to Aunt to pay for the new dress. $3,000 to my sister's wedding, as an emotional distress tax. I explained exactly why this was happening to C, but she sobbed the entire time, asking what she was supposed to do for college and saying it wasn't her fault. I told her she could get a job if she didn't get a scholarship, and it was her fault for trying on the dress after she'd been told no, and for not waiting until we got back. A few pop seams could have been fixed. Hacking the dress to pieces couldn't. C told my ex, and while she agreed C was in the wrong after the full story, said I shouldn't have ruined her future for a free dress. I reminded her of our rule, and she still thinks I'm wrong. So, am I the idiot here? Edit: since people are mentioning they don't understand the $3K, that was to make up to my sister that C destroyed the last gift our dead grandma ever gave her. I consider that part of the price of destroying the dress, since even if Anne remakes it, it's lost a great deal of its sentient value. I pointed out how young we had her because I wanted to explain how a 31-year-old has a 16-year-old kid. I do not resent having her, she's the best thing I've ever done. I also brought up C's size because Sis has Crohn's disease, and thus is very tiny. The dress was made for her size, and C is much larger than Sis. I love C as she is, but just holding the dress up, it was clear it wouldn't fit. The character count is very limiting. Edit 2: to clarify, the money was C's. Have fun at college. Money, not her college fund. My ex and I are paying for whatever scholarships don't. When she was asking what she would do for college, she was asking what she'd do for fun and to buy things we didn't pay for. Again, the character count is very limited, so I had to cut details to post. Edit 3: so, I got off the phone with my ex about 20 minutes ago. At some of your suggestions, I sent her the pictures, and she freaked. She apparently didn't believe me when I said it had been hacked apart, and believed it was just a few torn seams. She was pretty much on my side after. She told me that she spent the day badgering our daughter, asking her why she did what she did, and finally she cracked and said she was mad that grandma was alive to make her a dress, and that it was unfair. My sister got a free beautiful dress as a reminder when my daughter got nothing, despite the many things she was given after the funeral. She tried it on, took it off when the seams popped, and then in anger hacked it apart. If she couldn't have a dress from grandma, no one could. Her own words. Honestly, knowing she did it on purpose has just made things worse. The fact that she could be so cruel, that's not the daughter we tried to raise. She will be going to therapy, whether that's in person when local therapists start taking new clients again, or on one of those apps people have mentioned. We need to talk about it more. Her punishment stands as is, though we're going to see how therapy goes. As for all the seamstresses who have reached out, please know I'm touched by your kindness. I really am. My aunt is going to see if she can incorporate at least some of the fabric from the old dress into the new one, maybe at least try to save the beading, but if there's anything usable I'll reach out. I appreciate all of your offers, you're incredibly kind people. I have yet to talk to my sister, but I have talked to her fiancé. Sis isn't doing well. The stress has caused the Crohn's flare up, so she's stuck in bed sick. Honestly, I'm not surprised. Crohn's is often triggered by stressful events, so I was expecting it. I told my fiancé about and making a new dress, and she promised to take the remains over to Aunt on Monday. She's thankful for us addressing the issue, but has asked for some space from Sis so she can recover and heal, and hopefully not end up in the hospital. As for the 3K, we'll see what my sister's state is in a few days. If she has to go to the hospital, then the money is forfeit for her medical bills, since it was C's selfishness that put her there, so she can pay for it. If Sis does not end up in the hospital, then I'll consider giving it back after she's gone to therapy for a few months, if she's accepted what she did was wrong and worked to make amends. We'll see what the next few months bring. That was a long one, but you won't want to miss the update. Before we get into that, here are a few comments. Not the idiot, absolutely not. She ruined her own future. In my mind, that dress wasn't $12,000 or even $15,000, it was priceless. It could have and should have been passed down for generations. I'm horrified your daughter did such a thing. Most kids don't go to college with savings, so she's just going to have to tough it out. I hope she looks back one day and realizes the payment she made was severely short. I am so sorry this has happened to your family. Comment 2. Not the idiot, I'm on the fence about the punishment as that is a lot of money. However, would that even be a question if it wasn't the family that made the dress and Sis would have to pay $15,000 for a new dress from a shop? Probably not. I'm very confused as to why your 16-year-old would even act in this way. Is it a habit? Does she have a history? Trying the dress on, I can see a teen doing that. It ripped? Bad, but not the end of the world. Completely cutting it open, however? That's insane. Now for the update. Hey everyone. It's been a long time, and a lot of things have happened. I think it's finally gotten to the point where I can post an update that many of you asked for. I'll do the shortest update to the longest update. The dress, many of you reached out and offered to try and help, and I'm so thankful to you. I couldn't respond to everyone, but thank you so much. As some of you suggested, GPA used pieces of the original dress to make accessories for my sister to wear, and she loved them. She'll still wear some of the hair ties for special occasions. My aunt was able to make an almost perfect replica of the dress for the wedding, so while it wasn't the same, it was close. My sister, she did have to go to the hospital to treat her Crohn's flare-up. It was terrifying, and since she was immunocompromised, she did catch C-19. I was so scared I was going to lose my baby sister, but thankfully she pulled through. She is now finally married to her wonderful wife. My ex and I tried to have C pay for the hospital bills, but my sister refused to take the money. They do have good insurance, luckily. Sister-in-law was still pissed and torn about having C at the wedding, but my sister insisted. C wasn't part of the wedding party, but she was still invited and joined their special day. While it's not forgotten or really forgiven, my sister is willing to move on, at least. Finally, C. I think seeing her aunt so sick did help kickstart C realizing how wrong she'd been, since it was a domino effect of her actions in the first place that started all of this. She herself admitted in therapy it was her jealousy over having to buy a wedding dress in the future instead of having one made for her like it was done for my sister. She does still struggle with her anger at times, but it is getting better. It turns out she used to get all her anger and aggression in sports at school with her friends, which is why she seemed so calm all other times, but being in lockdown just forced everything to build up in an unhealthy way. Still not an excuse for what happened, but at least an explanation. As I said in an update last time, my ex and I are paying for college for whatever scholarships C doesn't get, so at the time taking the $12K for the dress seemed right. I still stand by that. But after seeing how much she's worked on herself and on trying to repair things with my sister, I have given her back the $3K that my sister didn't take for hospital bills. She's also been working with my aunt and GPA 1 day a week as well as editing others' essays to build back up her fund money. I matched 50% and gave it to her when she graduated. She started college in the fall with a few scholarships, and is continuing therapy. Things are still tedious with her and my sister, but they're working on it. C has been trying hard, showing she really is sorry, and is trying to fix things. I still think we have a while to go, but we'll get there. Comment 1. Just read your original post, OP. Your daughter must be 18 by now. I really hope she's developed the right toolkit to continue her journey into adulthood. That kid you're describing sounds entitled and mean, but it was nice to read she had enough self-awareness to name her own traits. That was all-round heartbreaking, and I think you handled it well. I genuinely hope C has learned a lesson, but I don't believe that empathy can be learned. Comment 2. You're the idiot. Seriously, what kind of parent are you? You're punishing your daughter for a mistake she made as a teenager. Taking away her college savings? That's beyond cruel. And let's not forget the emotional distress tax you imposed on your sister's wedding. Are you trying to ruin relationships and make everyone miserable? Your daughter made a mistake, yes, but it's not the end of the world. Instead of teaching her a lesson and helping her grow, you're destroying her future and causing unnecessary pain. You need to reevaluate your parenting approach and find a way to resolve this without resorting to such extreme measures. Your daughter deserves support, understanding, and a chance to make amends, not this vindictive punishment. Comment 3. Honestly, I think you should press your sister to take that $3,000. It really just sounds like your sister is being a bit of a pushover about this cause she's just trying to move on, and she knows that you and your ex will still try to pick up the slack for your kid. I'm glad that it's starting to put in the work to improve, but what she did is unforgivable and just so horrible. I don't see how this relationship could continue or improve without your sister having to forgive and forget. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for pulling out of planning my sister's wedding, causing her to lose her venue? As a wedding planner who has been in the industry for many years now, my male 31 party trick amongst close friends and family is being able to guess how long my clients' marriages will last with pretty alarming accuracy. If you ask anyone in the industry, there are specific indicators while working with a couple that allow us to be able to gauge compatibility. I can usually get down to around the 6-month window when predicting when photos of each other will disappear from socials. This is not me taking joy in crashing and burning relationships. Working in this career field can actually leave you feeling jaded about relationships in general, which is why I'm reluctant to work for friends and family. The specific stress wedding planning puts on some people/couples can bring out the worst in them that you don't see in everyday life. My sister is getting married early next year and practically begged me to plan for her despite my stance on clients I know personally. I finally gave in and we began the process back in March. Last week, while we were meeting and finalizing a few things, she asked me about the party trick I mentioned. She said since I had been working with her and her fiancé for months now, I could give my prediction as to how long they were going to last. I laughed and tried to move on. I thought she was joking, but she continued to press the issue. After her continually bothering me about this for at least 15 minutes when I'm trying to move on, I do have work outside of my specific appointment with her that I needed to get to. I finally told her I thought they would last forever. She claimed she didn't believe me and wanted my real number, so I shrugged and told her the truth, 1.5 years. She was livid. I felt incredibly uncomfortable with the whole ordeal, especially with how little she respected my boundaries in what is supposed to be a professional setting, and just tried to usher her out of my office. Instead, she began ranting about my own marriage and said she gives us until the end of the year before we break up, and accused me of being a homewrecker. She finally left, and I emailed her saying I would no longer be involved in planning. I gave her the contact information for all of the vendors we were working with, but told her the venue would no longer be available as they only booked to people they have existing relationships with and my involvement was necessary. I have had to break up with clients before, but this felt particularly rough. She has now told our parents that I am purposely sabotaging her wedding, and that I was unforgivably rude to her when she just asked a playful question. I feel very silly for letting a person disrespect my boundaries over and over again, something I typically wouldn't tolerate, but now I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong. Am I the idiot? There's no updates, so here's a few comments. Not the idiot. She pushed. You gave a perfectly acceptable answer of, forever. To which she didn't like that and wanted a real answer. But what would she have been happy with? 20 years? 10 years? It sounded like she was a constant boundary pusher. You didn't want to plan the wedding, but she pushed it. You didn't want to answer the question, but you pushed it. This is on her. That said, don't expect your family to see it that way. They probably will take her side because people enable shitty behavior from brides. Good luck. Comment 2. Everyone sucks here. I think you should stop playing this party trick with anyone. Even if you're accurate, it's not a nice thing to say about people. You could have avoided this whole scenario if you never played mental games with people's lives. Now, of course your sister is an age for pushing and pushing, but you should never have told her the truth. Comment 3. Not the idiot. You told her you didn't want to plan her wedding, and she badgered you into doing it anyway. You didn't want to tell her what you thought the relationship length would be, and she harassed you into telling her anyway. She then threw a tantrum at your place of business, which could be very damaging to your business and your relationships with other clients and vendors.